Hi everyone, welcome back to another Fresh Look Friday video. I'm Miss Laura from the Lake Villa District Library, and today's books are all from our young adult fiction collection, and they are all historical fiction. Some of them are a little bit older and some of them are brand new, and I can't wait to share them with you. I just want to be honest with you up front from the beginning. Historical fiction is not a genre that I normally go for on my own, that I pick up and read just because. That said, I loved all of these books. So that must mean that they're very good, right? Because I don't normally read historical fiction. I don't normally like them, but these are excellent. So I'm going to start with this one back here. This is called A Sitting in St. James, and it's by Rita Williams-GARCIA. She's written tons of books, including some for our middle grade readers. I loved this book, and I listened to it. It was fabulous. It takes place in 1860 Louisiana. So this is like a sprawling, epic story. It covers decades. It covers generations. If you like that historical fiction, Civil War era, Reconstruction, definitely pick out this. If you like big generational stories from kids and then adult, and just like watching them grow up and become grandparents, this is your story, A Sitting in St. James. It takes place on a plantation, and we hear from lots of different people, including the plantation owners, all the way to slaves and their story. The main plot of this is Madame Sylvie. She is the mistress of the house. For 6 generations or 6 decades, she has run this plantation, and she has decided that she deserves a portrait. So she is going to sit for a portrait, and it is a big deal. She is kind of known throughout the area as being the rich person, and people look to her, and she needs to keep up appearances, and she wants to have this fabulous portrait done by this fabulous French painter, and it is the talk of the town. I highly recommend it if you like big, sprawling stories. Okay, next, this book I just listened to. I cannot stop thinking about. There's a companion novel coming soon. This is a National Book Award winner. Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Malinda Lo. It was fabulous. So it takes place in 1954. Our main character is Lily. She's Chinese and lives in Chinatown, and she is slowly starting to realize that she might be gay. And that is definitely frowned upon in this time, in this place, in America, in Chinatown, and she doesn't really know how to handle it or what's going on. She makes a friend at school, Kathleen, and the two of them discover this place called the Telegraph Club. It happens to be a gay bar, and they start attending this place. They feel at home, they feel accepted, but again, highly frowned upon, illegal actually. And she has to keep it secret. And it's her story of not really yet coming out and figuring out how to do that in a time and a culture that it just is not accepted in at all. There's great historical moments. There's also, it's just a really good story of finding yourself and figuring out who you are and how you're supposed to do that, especially when you feel completely alone. Last Night at the Telegraph Club. All right. Then, coincidentally, I picked out 2 books about shipwrecks. I didn't really mean to do that, but the first one is a very famous one that I'm sure you're all aware of, the Titanic. The Watch That Ends the Night by Allan Wolf. I'm a big fan of Allan Wolf. He writes a lot of books in verse. This book is actually told by dozens of different people, dozens. So it tells the story of the Titanic sinking in verse, dozens of perspectives from the captain to unsinkable Molly Brown, to kids, to teenagers, people in 3rd class, people in 1st class, people that work there. It's just, we all know the story of the Titanic, right? But this is told from so many perspectives. It goes so fast because it's in verse. Highly recommend it. And if you like this, Allan Wolf has a lot of other historical books I would check out as well. So the next book I picked up, I didn't realize was also about I read this a few years ago. It was about a shipwreck. So this takes place during World War II, the winter of 1945. And the ship that is discussed is the William Gustloff. I had not heard of it, but apparently it is the greatest tragedy in maritime history. There were more deaths with this sinking than there were with the Titanic. And we don't talk about it ever, right? And the saddest part of this is most of the deaths were women and children in the Wilhelm Gustloff. So this book, Salt to the Sea, is told in 4 different voices, all teenagers. They are all fleeing from the Soviet advance. So they're all refugees, essentially, trying to get to the ship to get away from the Soviets. It doesn't necessarily go well for everyone. It's told in 4 voices, like I said. You become so connected to all 4 characters. They are all so completely different. If you like feeling like you're submersed in the story, like you are that person, I would definitely check out Salt to the Sea. Also, it's just this little known fact in history. I mean, I didn't know about it. I don't know what that says about me. Maybe you knew about it and that's better. But I would definitely check out Salt to the Sea. And then finally, Freedom Swimmer. This is by Wai Chim. This is available on Hoopla, one of our digital apps, which means anybody can check it out. Everybody can check it out at one time, absolutely free, so you don't have to wait ever. If you're interested in Freedom Swimmer, you can get it right now with the app. This takes place in 1968 China. I have not read a lot of books that take place in this time period. This is basically during communist rule, and our main character, Ming, has survived in his childhood great famine. He's basically a peasant. He's lost his whole family. He's an orphan in his small little village. And the Communist Party sends these students to come and kind of bring communism to the poor, essentially, and make sure everyone is living the ideals of the party. Because if you do not, you will suffer. You will be tortured. You will be sent to a labor camp. You could be murdered. It is a very scary time to live, and Ming knows that he has to believe the party principles or things will not go well for him. Well, one of these students in his village, Li, becomes his friend, and he starts teaching Li how to swim, and they become very close. And they start to maybe wonder if the communist ideal and the party principles are something that they really agree with. And then there's something called freedom swimming. And that means swimming from their little village through very treacherous, shark-infested waters to British-controlled Hong Kong. Very, very few people survive. In fact, Ming's father died trying to freedom swim to Hong Kong. But things transpire, and now they have no choice. They are forced to freedom swim. Will they make it? Freedom Swimmer. Really recommend it. And I listened to it on Hoopla. It goes very fast. It was great hearing the different dialects. I definitely recommend it, Freedom Swimmer. So those are my historical fictions for you today. I'll be back next month with new YA fiction. See you then. Bye.